and a few days ago I published a PowerPoint presentation of Jin. Jin Kazama deserves better, and I didn't expect that it would generate such discussion in the comment section, and honestly thought I'd get like 5 or 6 comments out of it. So I made this presentation spurred by the story mode in Tekken 7. Most specifically, Miguel's story mode. So you can see a screenshot, and yes, that's how I reacted when I played this story mode. This is not okay. Because, quick background, I first played Tekken when I was a child. Tekken 3, most specifically. Jin was never really my favorite. I didn't care much about him. Then my peak Tekken days were Tekken 5, playing with friends, and after that, I abandoned Tekken. I moved on to other games, genres, RPGs, but recently Tekken has been calling me back, and all those happy times I'm playing with my friends just rushes down. It's nostalgia, and I'm excited to pick up this game again. Then I had to review what has happened to the characters over the past years, and of course watch the Tekken Bloodline anime, which actually brought me back. That's one of the biggest factors why I came back. And oh my gosh, what have they done to Jin? It's just so unbelievably bad. So uh here's my presentation, and I recorded it in video format so I can just elaborate some of my points I made in this PowerPoint. I made this presentation before the DA trailer, so I might add some thoughts, and you can read it on the screen. And Jin is the mascot of the Tekken franchise for the last 20 years. And like I said, I'm going to discuss them in a story perspective, character arcs, development, not the gameplay, because I'm a noob, okay? I don't know much about competitive Tekken. So, there are people who don't care about the story, and that's okay. This is not for you. I honestly don't like those comments saying, why care about the story? Then why care about grinding ranks? Everyone has different ways of entertaining themselves. So, at the end of this presentation, I'll try to give more thoughts on how Jin could have a satisfying story. Okay, I'm not expecting award winning, Oscar bait, quality writing here. It's a video game, and it's a fighting game most specifically. So, 1997. I was very young in this age. I could barely read, so I don't have the fresh first hand experience of seeing Jin. I was too young to appreciate Jin this time. I didn't even know who Kazuya was or Tekken was. So, but so when looking at this in retrospect, look at how Jin was introduced in the arcades. Look at him, he's smiling. He's cocky, he's cool, he has these flaming pants. I could just imagine the boys looking at this. Oh my gosh, he's so cool. I'm picturing them because I'm a girl, I have bias. So, uh, in retrospect, I read up his backstory in Tekken 3, and I think it's good. It has all the elements of a tragic hero, and uh, he was mentored by his mother, Jun Kazama. I'll talk about her later. His mother died, and he wanted to take revenge. He became strong by training, learning martial arts. But the twist was when he was shot by his own grandfather. So when I was young, this was such a shock. I don't know much about the history of Heihachi, but as a child, when I played this and the grandpa just shot the main character and the main character turned to a demon, that was such a scary scene for me, personally, when I was young. So, Jin left an impression to me personally as a cool hero, but he's also scary, very scary. as a child because he has this devil persona. So let's move on. So Tekken 4, I totally missed this Tekken because our PlayStation 2 broke. I played Tekken Tag 1, but I missed Tekken 4. Our PlayStation broke. We didn't have money to replace it, so that's life. Anyway, I call this the best Jin because he really has a story arc in this game. And I mentioned earlier that the Tekken 3 Jin is a bit, it's a bit bare. He has minimal traits, and that's okay for the standards of his time. He's cocky, he's strong, he's reserved. He's not the loudmouth protagonist like Naruto who's just screaming his heart out. Jin was on the very quiet side. So the good thing about Tekken 4 is it it started with Jin dealing with the aftermath of what his grandfather did to him. So his grandfather inflicted a trauma because he betrayed Jin's trust. Grandpa tried to shoot him in the head. And Jin had been on the run. He's been hiding from the Tekken Force. It could be seen in Huarang's Tekken 3 ending. So Jin has his life tough after Tekken 3. And he quit school, he lost his friends, and he ended up in Australia. How? I don't know. But the hoodie is a visual, it's a good decision to visually show what Jin has during that time in terms of story. He's hiding his face. He's hiding from Heihachi. So, um, in Australia, he learns a new fighting style, karate. So this is dual purpose. First, because uh, they decide to bring back Kazuya in this game. So they have to separate Jin from Kazuya. But it also serves a good narrative component of Jin rejecting Mishima karate. So he after 2 years of hiding and trauma and hating his bloodline, he decided to enter the next Iron Fist tournament with the intent to murder his own family. Um, and I watched the cutscenes here and the prologue. It's a bit problematic that in the prologue it says that Jin wanted to murder Kazuya. How did Jin learn that Kazuya was alive? Well, I forgive it, okay? But anyway, um, it's the canon was a bit muddled, but I always assume Jin's is the most canon of all. But eventually, he was captured by his grandpa. He's hung and tortured by this thought. So Grandpa Heihachi wants to absorb his power so he could be more evil and strong. So a great thing about Jin here is that he was triumphant. He was triumphant in the sense that he defeated his own grandfather and his father using his own karate style. So he didn't rely on the Mishima style that his grandfather taught him. He won in his own terms. And not just the physical fight. He won the mental battle. So uh, so far at this point in the story, the Mishima conflict is fueled by hate, cycles of revenge, and just son killing their father. So this is great. Jin walked away from this scene in his devil form, but he wasn't hateful. He was at peace. I mean, at least at this point. And he chose his mother's side. And this is a great way to illustrate Jin's dual identity. He's a Mishima, but he's also a Kazama. And he may have this demon form, he may have this rage and hatred inside him, but he chose a different path. So we will elaborate this later. He isn't like his father, he isn't like his grandfather, and he has the power to choose his own destiny, regardless of what his bloodline forces him to be, regardless of what of the trauma and the pain his grandfather and father inflicted on him. So remember that as we proceed. Tekken 5, calm before the shitstorm. So, in retrospect, this was my peak Tekken days, and I have good memories of this period. So many people praise this as peak Tekken because it's so goofy, so crazy, has iconic endings like the Mishimas being sent to space and all those comedy. But I would argue that this entry in the Tekken franchise was actually a bit harmful to Jin, or maybe even significantly so. So, the premise of Tekken 5 is that Jin cannot settle down peacefully with the devil inside him. He was having moments of losing control. He's leveling down forests, and he went on a journey to address this problem of him. So it's weird coming back to the same place, the Iron Fist tournament, which inflicted the most trauma on you. And he even tried to get away from that. But I'll forgive it because it's a fighting game and people have to fight. And we have to go back to the Tekken, the Iron Fist tournament again. So after the mysterious leader of the Mishima Zaibatsu during this time is Jinpachi, Heihachi's father, whom he murdered many years ago. And during this time, Heihachi was missing in action. In the Tekken 5 opening, the jacks blew up and Heihachi was assumed to be dead. So Jin inherited the Zaibatsu in the end, and he has this wicked smile. And like I said earlier, Tekken 5 has good reception among the fan base, but it missed a very important it wasted an opportunity because Jin just killed his great grandpa, and that's it. I tried rewatching the scenes in YouTube, but it's just the screaming Jinpachi, and Jin is so powerful, and yeah, we get it, Jin is strong. He's the strongest Mishima, I get it. But they had no meaningful interaction, and in this moment, if the writers or Namco or Harada-san plans to put Jin in a more dark path, it could have been the turning point because Jinpachi was a good Mishima. Maybe not a saint, but yes, seeing how Heihachi turned out, but Jinpachi was the proof that it wasn't genetics that make the Mishima male line assholes. So Jinpachi was murdered by Heihachi. So because Jinpachi was they let his guard down or he was a good man, Heihachi was able to take power and inflicted more evil, more suffering in the world than anyone deserved. So if Jin had this moment of connection with Jinpachi, and maybe Jinpachi could have told Jin that, don't be like me, don't be naive, and destroy evil, use your power, else something worse would happen if you don't use your power. Maybe Jinpachi could have told that to Jin. So if they had that interaction, the next entry, Tekken 6, would have made a little more sense. Anyway, so when Jin smiled when he inherited the Zaibatsu, because it was cool. I mean, that time it was cool to me, but why? It doesn't fit to this premise of the story, because Jin entered the Iron Fist tournament because he was losing control of his power. But he got more power in the end, and he smiled. So he liked it. He's excited to run. Actually, it should be ruin it. He's excited to run his grandfather's company down the ground. Or maybe he finds the situation funny. I think yeah, it kind of works. So, oh my gosh, how ironic it is. It could work. So, uh, like I said, it's a calm before the shitstorm. And we will go to Tekken 6. Oh my gosh. I don't know what they're thinking. It's There's many answers to this, but let's focus on the story rather than the business side of things. So bad. And I was during this time. Okay, disclaimer again. During this time, I'm totally out of Tekken. I'm in Guilty Gear, I'm in Final Fantasy, I'm exploring other franchises. So I totally just um, abandoned Tekken during this period. I didn't have the first hand experience of seeing Jin Kazama in this black trench coat and laughing like a Kazuya Jr. So, according to the prologue, Jin waged World War III. So, World War III is not just, it's much worse. I mean, if you're going to make it like World War II level of destruction, then millions could be dying. I hope not. I mean, this is a fantasy world. I hope Jin didn't cause that much. I mean, yeah, I hope they retcon some of the elements that minimizes his damage as much as possible because I hate it and I'll explain why. So, the reason Jin did all of this is to forcefully awaken Azazel, as I don't know. But anyway, um the intent of the story arc is that Jin is willing to do extremes to avert something much worse. So by prematurely awakening Az and killing him, Jin not only will end the devil gene once and for all, he intends to avert a larger apocalypse that Az is supposed to bring. So he defeats Azazel, and the jarring thing about this is maybe Jin could have had this direction, and he was so remorseful of it. It's tearing him apart, and it's causing so much agony. That would have been very much in line with his character. But no, he acts like a massive dick, especially to Losh. Okay, I heard that it's supposed to be pronounced that way, Losh. But yeah, Jin acted like a massive dick. Became Kazuya Jr. And I don't know if Namco thinks it's cool and maybe they thought that the fans would like this change in the character. But as far as I know, based on research and what I heard that during the time, people hated Losh. They want Jin back. They don't want him to be replaced by like a Naruto character. So visually, it's so ironic. Jin fell off from a cliff. So from Tekken 4, he ended his story in his own terms. Learned my own karate, and I'm a better man than my father and my grandfather. In Tekken 6, he did much worse than what Kazuya even did. And Kazuya has been consistently described as more evil than Heihachi. So Jin just even I mean, Jin broke Kazuya's records. What did Kazuya did? He militarized the Zaibatsu and took control of an island, if I remember. And he poached animals. He was connected in a lot of crimes. He killed Eddie's father. And Jin bombed civilians, maybe not directly, but under his orders. He's responsible. He's the boss. So Tekken 6 not only reverses development in Tekken 4, it's a massive departure from the original essence of Jin's character. He was supposed to be different from Kazuya. So, in a storytelling perspective, in terms of technique, if the writer wants people to convince, if the writer wants the people convinced that Jin saved us all, even though his decision was extreme, they should have shown the future where Azazel was ruling. The audience should be fed the alternative. So if Jin didn't do what he had to do, this would be what the world looked like. We should have had that so we could see that, oh, it was worse. Jin did what he did. Jin did what was necessary. But no, the story just showed Jin being an evil edgelord dictator, and they're marketing his evil deeds like what he did to Miguel's sister. So Jin bombed Miguel's country, and his sister died in her wedding. So, and according to the Wikia, and maybe it's stated in a game that Lush rebelled and took more nearly half of the Tekken Force. So even Jin's men hate him. And I tried looking for scenes where Jin was remotely even remorseful for what he has been doing, but eh, but his intros and art outros are all hostile or cold. Like, don't get in my way, like that. So maybe Namco thinks this is cool and edgy, but it's not. Anyway, Tekken 7. I recently played it this weeks ago. Just caught up with Tekken 7. I'm hearing things it was bad, and I think the story is bad. There's so many retcons that ruin Heihachi and Kazuya in a way. But um anyway, Jin was sidelined in this game, and I think it's a convenient way to focus on the finale between Heihachi and Kazuya. I mean, they have to have a book end. So I'm not really against um, having an excuse for Jin to be out to not interfere with his father-son conflict, because Heihachi has to go, Heihachi has to be defeated, and Kazuya has to replace his father as the biggest boss status. So that's it. This is all Jin did in the story mode. He was asleep, sleeping beauty most of the time, and uh, even so, it was a missed opportunity because they didn't have to make Jin comatose during this time. Jin could have been just severely weakened, unable to fight, um, temporarily disabled. And during that time, he was being passed around by Losh, Li Shaolan, and Alisa. They could have had dialogues. I mean, Jin could have talked to his uncle Li. Li knew Kazuya since they were young. Li witnessed the abuse that Kazuya and him received from Heihachi. It could have been a bridge from the period where Jin knows nothing about. And it is such a wasted opportunity because Jin knows almost nothing of the events of Tekken 1 and 2. His mother June kept him in the dark about the details, and it's such a waste of opportunity for him to talk to Li Shaolan. And there's Uncle Lash, where they could have had a bit of a ceasefire, like reconciliation with Ali, especially with Alisa on the mix, because maybe Jin could recognize that Alisa is a living being. She's not just a piece of machine, but she has consciousness. She's alive. And it could have made a tender moment that Jin acknowledges his mistake and he and Alisa could reach an understanding. So, and let's go back to Miguel's story mode, the main inspiration of this PowerPoint. And I was laughing when I was playing this. I was half laughing and face palming because I couldn't believe how much damage the writers did to their main character. But it makes sense. I'm not saying that it's out of character, but for them put to put Jin at this state, because then Jin looks suicidal and just totally broken down deep inside because of what he did. But this is not enough. Um, it's still a self-centered approach because at this point, for the last 10 or 15 years, we knew that Jin hates his Mishumi bloodline. He hates his father's side. He hates Heihachi. and he he has to grow out of it. He has to look at his actions, his responsibility, and the people who cares for him. He should just stop um, making it all about him. Maybe he do cares about others. That's why he's in this state. But we have to have him talk about it rather than just do the same thing of kill me please or I hate the Mishima bloodline, blah blah blah. So again, the faceless journalist could have been a instrument to retcon some of the elements of Tekken 6 and help Jin recover his I mean, it's not a recovery but a course correction on Jin's direction. Journalists could have had opportunity to investigate ancient ruins or past records where we could see that Azazel had leveled civilizations down to ashes and committed mass genocide, and Jin averted this crisis. So it could have been used to help Jin's character at this point, but they didn't. So after the story of Tekken 6, Jin wanted to kill Kazuya. Oh boy, remember Tekken 4? So from walking away, he wants to kill Kazuya again. So why? Because he hates his father? He thinks it's Kazuya is a big bad evil that will destroy the world. But he has destroyed the world worse than Kazuya ever did. So Namco wrote themselves in a corner because objectively, why would the audience root for Jin if Jin had done worse things? And again, the alternate future where Azazel successfully ruled is not presented to the audience. Why would we prefer Jin's actions to the future of Azazel? We don't know. We didn't see it. It's just stated. We just they expect us to just accept it. So as a writer, they should just stop making Jin wallow in self-hatred over his genetics. Maybe not completely stop it, but they should expand him. So um according to the Art of Tekken, a complete visual history, page 9091, the and Kazuya was purposely made to look alike because they're father and son. Jin has the red gloves and the karate gi, the topless muscle structure and the spiky hair. But it's important to know that Jin was raised by a loving mother in peace, Zen environment, versus Heihachi, who raised Kazuya in cruelty and toxic. I don't want to say, but the people call it the toxic masculinity upbringing. And uh, Jin became a much more different man than his father. Jin has a moral compass. This is very important because they're talking about how they conceive Jin as a character, and this makes all sense. But even though Jin has morals, he still has this dark instinct to end his line because he thinks that they should better off not existing, like he said in the trailer. People like us shouldn't exist in the world. So he's Kazuya's mirror. Uh, Jin chose a different path. And Kazuya deserves his own discussion, but many people have been saying that if Kazuya received love, if Kazuya's mother Kazumi lived, or maybe Heihachi wasn't cruel, maybe Kazuya would have been a good man. But I don't know. Maybe but it deserves another discussion. But so it's important that Jin chose a different path from his father, and he was raised in a different environment. So, ironically, this book was published in 2019 after all the shitstorm that has happened in Tekken 6. And the book, I tried reading the book section, the Tekken 6 section, Kazuya section, and they skipped the evil Jin discussing that direction. I don't think they even acknowledged it. So, um in terms of chronology, Jin's direction has been around much longer and much more recent in people's memories, especially its prevalence in social media, the black trench coat things, and it's common that Jin is compared to Sasuke Uchiha. Uchiha Sasuke from Naruto. They have the similar hair and they're so angsty and angry and wouldn't smile. So that deserves another discussion, but I like Jin more than Sasuke, okay? And so again, what Jin deserves. I came back to this fandom precisely because I happened to watch Tekken Bloodline while I'm doing workouts, and I liked it. It's not the top rated 10 over 10 anime. I personally rated like 7 or 6.5 over 10. But I think the first and second episodes were strong, and I like Jin's contrasted upbringing. He has this pacifistic mother who treated him with love and tells him to let go of rage, to be zen. Then he has this father who punches him and just beats him down. And that the idea of Heihachi's strength is different. That uh, Jun's idea of strength is restraint and peace. Heihachi's strength is subjugation, dominance, violence. And Jin was raised in that dual environment. And deep inside he's battling it. And I like it. I think it explored Tekken 3 Jin so good. I love it. Even though the other episodes are so rushed and could have been better, but I like it. Anyway, so Tekken 8. I just watched the trailer yesterday and I like some of Jin's lines. So they're adding more dimensions to highlight who Jin was supposed to be. He said, I couldn't protect anyone in the trailer. I think it's a good direction that suddenly, that after a long time of being treated like he was a massive dick, he actually cares for others. And it's also seen in the Tekken Bloodline anime. He's friends with Warang and Xiaoyu. And although I wish that they showed more of it, I appreciate that um, they made it canon that they're friends, even though, because for many years it's speculated that Jin doesn't care about them. So, and Jin and Kazuya's rivalry needs to be fleshed out. In canon, they never exchange two lines. Yes, 10, 4, 5, 6. Maybe they have intros and outros, but in special interaction in Tekken Tag games. But all Kazuya ever said to Jin, Kazama blood. This is back in Tekken 4. He saw his son, a son from a woman that he could have loved in the past, or I don't know. Maybe it's just a one night stand. But anyway, he has a son, and this son could have been the son of the woman whom he cared about in the past. And we just saw a big gasp. That's it. That's everything. And Jin just says that he will kill his father. So what's the rivalry all about? Why does Jin? What is this? What's the source of so much hatred and resentment from Jin? Because his father was absent. His father, I mean, Kazuya barely did personally something very personal against Jin at this point. It's even insulting to me that Kazuya hired hitmen or put a bounty on Jin's head in Tekken 6. I think it's out of Kazuya's character because Kazuya, the classic Kazuya would face Jin face to face and kill him with his own hands, not just put bounty on his son's head. Especially Jin has the half of the devil gene. So see the poor writing. So I recommend Project X Zone scenes in YouTube so you can see the potential of Jin and Kazuya just trash talking each other and hating each other. It's so fun to watch. So direction. This may be the direction in Tekken 8. Jin embraces his Kazama blood. Because Jin As much as he hates his Mishima bloodline, he has the exact bloodline that neutralizes it. So it's such a waste that they have to invent Azazel and have Jin hate his bloodline for the last 10, 15 years and sideline the Kazama side of his family. And this is reflected on Asuka's sidelining. They want to drag the Mishima conflict so much that they have to hold this Kazama component up to Tekken 8. And depending on how they will handle Tekken 6 events, we might get retcons that may downplay the damage that Jin did to the world. I hope so, personally. But if they're if they want to stick with Jin being responsible for so many deaths and suffering in the world, Jin could have had an arc of atonement. So he's a war criminal now. He's gone. I mean, in real life, the punishment would be death, a firing squad, or a lifetime imprisonment. But it's a video game, we can forgive these characters. But he needs to atone for what he did, and some are and the story is pointing to the direction of him killing Kazuya as atonement. But it's not really atonement because killing Kazuya is eliminating the Kazuya problem. But Jin caused problems on his own regardless of Kazuya's existence. So it's just an easy way out if they're just gonna have Jin kill Kazuya and be the hero at the end. Maybe they could retcon Tekken 6 where that Jin was actually in the influence of the devil, so he did that and he was so remorseful. I hope so. And a costly defeat. So others have said this. Jin actually lost to Losh. So a commentator said that. But I think Jin has lost his mother. But I think it would work if Jin loses a friend. Of course, I don't want Huarang or Xiao Yu to die. But maybe, I don't know, maybe Lee. He and Lee bond and Lee dies from Kazuya, and I think it could elevate and prolong the conflict if you still want the Mishima Saga prolonged. And then a path to healing. Jin could have a break. I mean, it's not entertaining to watch him wallow in self-hatred and be in such a traumatized state for the rest of his years. He's so young. He's 21 years old, 22 years old maybe in Tekken 8. And there's a lot more story to be told from Jin. So this makes me arrive to this fan fiction scenario. This is my I repeat, personal vision for Jin, that he becomes a father himself. So when Jin was born, his mother was 22 years old, same age as him. So Jin, as a father, would have to confront the reality that he hates himself, he hates his blood, but his child deserves love and protection. So you have this father who wants to end it all, to end his bloodline, who then he has this child who deserves love that Jun Kazama gave Jin, protection. So see that contrasting element of, and Jin has to choose. Of course, Jin, the original Jin, not the Tekken 6 Jin, would probably undergo a lot of grow. I think Jin would not be able to step up the role of a father immediately. He has to come in terms with a lot of things before he chooses to be just like his mother, to provide love and protection to his child. Because it's so hypocrisy. Uh, it's such a hypocritical thing to hate your father and your grandfather for their bloodline and for their cruelty, but then be a bad father yourself, right? So maybe if the devil gene persists to this child, if it's here to stay, Jin could be more determined than ever to pass down knowledge to his child so the child could control the devil Jin, suppress it, especially with the Kazama blood. So the reason why I like this idea because it breaks the cycle of the Mishima blood feud because um, it uh, if father and child could love each other mutually, not like Junpachi and Heihachi, they just broke the cycle. Yes, and I think it's a good theme because Tekken is all about martial arts and over the top anime devil powers. But the most powerful thing to end this cycle is not through fist, but just by loving each other. I mean, it could be cliche, but it has a heart. So, okay, thanks for reading. And I actually did Kazuya's analysis, but maybe I'll do another video. I don't know. If people are interested. So, Tekken Fix It Rewrite. So, I'd like to address some of the comments here uh in my Reddit. So, how do you get rid of this? I don't know. What's this? I just bought this thing a few weeks ago. So, so many good comments here. So, um Asuka. So Asuka is a tricky character because she was made to replace June, but their writers half-assed it. I mean, they they just want Kazuya to be fan service, and they brought June back. So I'm conflicted because I want June back, but in a story perspective, Asuka could have done June's incoming role of learning Kazama magic and helping Jin go to the side of goodness again, whatever. So, thank you, Thali, for encouraging me to make this video. Thank you, thank you. I mean, when I woke up and read your comment, I mean, as a sense of satisfaction just washed into me because people appreciated my thoughts on this subject. So yes, thanks, bro. So uh yes, I made it as a PowerPoint because people don't like reading. I'm a fanfic writer, and it's common for me to write a really long fanfic and have zero or no comments, and then um thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I think ye so yes, Tekken 7's retcon deserves its own topic. I think it's bad. Bad most specifically for Heihachi. So okay, I'm going to clarify with this comment. Uh Tekken 4 post Tekken 4 was bad in terms of commercial performance, and it sold poorly. And I think I misremember the time that Harada went missing. It's not definitely not Tekken 4, but something shifted within Namco after Tekken 4. That's why they made Tekken 5 so goofy and colorful and over the top. And I think it worked. So, it's so sad that the fan base is trying too hard to save this series. Yes, sadly, that's the case of many fandoms I in. That people care more about the characters than because there's so much potential, and we're emotionally attached to them because they they're associated with memories. I don't Tekken reboot. I don't think it's the right time, but it's possible maybe in 10 years. I don't know because they have to end the Mishima story at some point. So, yes. Yeah, this is one Kibo's comment inspired my comment earlier that Jin didn't have to be put in a coma. Jin could have had good conversations with his two uncles and have a reconciliation with Alisa. So Jin was not named after Jinpachi. Okay, yes, it's not confirmed, but I think it's a deliberate. developer. It's on the developer side. I think Jin's name is inspired from Jin Pachi because Jin Pachi's name existed in Tekken 1 or 2. His grave could be seen in Wang Jinrei's ending. So maybe the developers think that naming Jin after Jin Pachi was clever and could imply some intimacy between Jun and Kazuya. So like my comment said that um, Jun and Jin sound similar in English, but in Japanese it doesn't work like that. So Jun and Jin's characters are very different. The one that Jin shares characters with is Jin Pachi. But anyway, I mean, it's not. I'm not asserting it as a fact, but it could be that Jin was deliberately named by developers after his grandfather. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, it doesn't make sense that Kazuya and Heihachi was spared by Jin, only for Jin to like want to kill them later. Williams Sisters, I definitely recommend a YouTube called Wasted Potential. Thank you, thank you. Yes, I like some comment here. Where's the comment? I think it was. Oh, yeah, I think it was in the Kazuya comment. But anyway, there's so much comments here. In thank you guys. I can't address everyone. I'll try to answer if more comments come here. And that's it. Yes. Yes, thank you. How do you end this thing?